attended by former DP Rigathi Gachagua after a tear gas canister is thrown at the podium.
Hatutakaa chini, tutulie, tunyamaze, wakati wenzetu wanaumizwa, wakati wenzetu wamepotea, kipindi ambacho wanafaa kuwa na familia zao.
Justice remains elusive for victims of police brutality, with over 1,000 unresolved cases and no progress in high-profile incidents, despite calls for accountability from both Kenyans and the United States. President William Ruto assigns more duties for Cabinet Secretaries Musalia Mudavadi, Aden Duale, and Salim Vuria, additional dockets in an acting capacity.
Kama ni customer amekuja hapa, ukienda kuongea na yeye watasema huyu mama tu ni mchane amechukua mzee wangu.
Unapatwa na masaibu mpaka ndugu yenye mzaliwa naye pamoja na kukataa.
In tonight's special feature, we highlight the untold struggles of widows in Kenya as they navigate life without their partners. Welcome to the program. I am Ian Keitani and our sign language interpreter is Walter Asewe. This is a bulletin that you can watch live across our social media platforms at K24 TV. And of course, I want you to engage us and let us know what you make of the state of abductions or the wave of abductions happening here in the country as we get to the, of course, peak of the festive period. We begin our bulletin now, and impeached Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua has condemned attempts to disrupt a prayer event he was invited to after chaos broke out moments after leaders started addressing the congregants at the venue. A tear gas canister was hurled at the podium moments after leaders began addressing the crowd. A tear gas canister was hurled at the podium, forcing congregants to scamper for safety and kicking out the kicking out the police who are providing security at the event. Gachagua and his allies maintain that they will not be cowed into submission by what they term as cowardly acts. As Martin Opio now reports, a person suspected to be a politician's bodyguard threw a tear gas canister while the county's Senator John Methu was addressing the crowd. The event began and continued peacefully until Nyandarua Senator took to the stage to address the public. Hell broke loose with chaos erupting after unknown individuals attempted to disrupt the gathering. One person, allegedly a bodyguard of a politician, threw a tear gas canister onto the stage, causing the event to be temporarily halted. A confrontation ensued between the locals and police officers who were overwhelmed. However, calm was restored after a short while, with the AIPCA church bishop strongly condemning the incident.
Yule mtu anaweza kataza sisi kufanya mkutano na alikuwa anakataza sisi kufanya mkutano. Nataka nimuombe na nimwambie Mheshimiwa William Ruto, Rais wa Jamhuri ya Kenya. Barabara unaweza kataa kutupatia sawa sawa. Hiyo shaa yako inaweza kataa kufanya kazi sawa sawa. Ile vitu yote ulituahidi unaweza kataa kutupatia sawa sawa. Lakini maombi tutaomba upende usipende.
Former Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua took the opportunity to criticize President William Ruto, urging him to focus on addressing Kenyans' challenges instead of disrupting his meetings. Rigathi emphasized that he and his allies would not waver in their stance and would continue to criticize the government.
Na mimi niseme, hata mkiharibu mikutano, hata mkituma vijana wakuja na mapanga, hata mkikuja na tear gas, hii watu yote walitoka kwa UDA.
The country.
While speaking to the press from his home in Madira, Nyeri County on Friday, Rigathi claimed there was a conspiracy to disrupt the prayers.
And the police commander there in that county is intimidating leaders to cancel those prayers, that they will not be allowed to take place, that they need a permit. I want to tell the county commander in Nyandarua that you don't need a permit to hold prayers. Again, is this repression by this administration. Even if you stop the people of Nyandarua from holding prayers, that will not change their political views of what they think about this administration.
Sentiments that were echoed by the organizer of the event, Shammata Ward Representative Ruben Gitau, describing the difficulties and strict conditions he faced while seeking approval to host the meeting.
Huwezi kutawala wa Kenya kwa uongozi wa mabavu. You cannot govern people by force. And you cannot force them to do what you want. Mutaongea na hao wa Kenya, mjue nini mewakasirisha, you address that problem.
Wacheni kufanya vile Moi alikuwa anafanya. Wacheni tabia ya kutishia wananchi na viongozi. Wacheni tabia ya kulazimishia wananchi vitu ambavyo hawataki.
Rigathi allies also vowed not to be intimidated and pledged their unwavering support to the impeached DP.
Haya ni mambo ambayo tuliyaona miaka 30 iliyopita wakati wa Moi. Sasa mimi ninashindwa hawa watu kutoka sehemu hiyo kwa sababu Moi alitunyanyasa. Sasa William Ruto anatunyanyasa. Je, hawa watu kutoka eneo hilo wako na shida gani?
Today's incident comes just weeks after a funeral in Limuru was disrupted by a group of hooligans, forcing former Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua to scamper for his safety. Gachagua has vowed to give his supporters a way forward come January. Martin Opio, K24 TV.
Now, still on the same issue, former Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua has continued with his onslaught on the National Police Service, calling them out for being used for political expediency. Speaking in Nyandarua, Rigathi warned the head of state, President William Ruto, that no amount of intimidation or violence meted on him and Kenyans would deter them from demanding for good governance.
A day after former Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua made allegations of the existence of a possible secret unit that has been behind the recent abductions in the country, Rigathi has struck again, this time taking a direct hit at the National Police Service. In a statement posted on his social media platforms, he said, and I quote, "Today, at a Thanksgiving prayer service at Shammata in Nyandarua, scores of police officers were deployed purportedly to provide security. However, and without any provocation whatsoever, a uniformed inspector of police gave a tear gas canister to an officer in plain clothes to throw into a VIP tent, causing panic and commotion. This was despite the fact that the prayers were peaceful and everyone was calm." The statement goes on to further say, "It is yet another moment of great shame to our National Police Service, who are already disgraced for carrying out illegal abductions and extrajudicial killings of our children." In his address on the 27th, the former second-in-command condemned his former boss for remaining silent on the abductions, questioning the similarity between victims who have been critics of the president. Further, adding that since the country's independence, it's only President William Ruto's administration that has targeted children. Alan Owino for K24.
Now, amid growing calls for the release of those abducted in recent weeks, due to the opposition to government policies, youth from Mombasa threatened to hold protests over the abductions. As the youth call for nationwide protest, leaders from across the political divide continue to disagree over the rising wave of abductions in the country. As 2024 comes to an end, the unexpected surge in abductions has left many concerned, with the whereabouts of some demonstrators still unknown. In recent weeks, at least 6 government critics on the X platform have been abducted, with their whereabouts remaining largely unknown, sparking outrage from Kenyans and a section of leaders.
Under my administration, I do not want a situation where a Kenyan disappears.
Despite President William Ruto's promise to end the menace of abductions, just a day after both the DCI and the National Police Service denied involvement or knowledge of any abductions, youth from Mombasa County have vowed to take to the streets on Monday in solidarity with the abducted.
And we are very, very disappointed with you, Mr. President. You cannot come out yesterday and tell us, now tunaenda kuachilia wale watu. And then the statement ya polisi, you're telling us that you don't know what is happening. Yeah. Shame on you, all these people.
Shame on them.
And we are not going to stop just because you're going to release people tomorrow. We are going to have maandamano tarehe 30.
Kama wamefanya makosa, wako na haki ya kupelekwa kotini, kuweza kushikwa na waweze kusikizwa. Freedom from torture and end degrading act imekuwa pia violated, na hizo ni one of the absolute rights. Sasa sisi kama vijana, kama vile wenzangu wamesema, ni kwamba hatutakaa chini, tutulie, tunyamaze wakati wenzetu wanaumizwa, wakati wenzetu wamepotea.
These sentiments come amid calls from Kenyans urging the government to respect the provisions of the constitution and put an end to the abductions.
Wakati Ruto alikuwa na campaign akatuingiza box, alituhakikishia kwamba 100% his government hakutakuwa na abduction. Unaona? Lakini saa hii ukisikia news ni mtu ametekwa nyara, mtu ameshikwa. So sisi kama wananchi tunauliza, je, abduction itaenda hivi mpaka tufike kwa the next election?
This is not a laughing matter, it's a serious matter. Because in the recent videos nilikuwa naona Mheshimiwa Raila Odinga wakiwa pamoja na Mheshimiwa William Ruto, Samoei Ruto wakiwa pamoja, na walikuwa na check about that matter. It's not a laughing matter. The court should understand penye wase wanapelekwa na systems zinafaa kuwekwa, wase wasiko napotea bila kujulikana waliko. It's not right to the country. Kama mimi kama Mkenya naona it's not right.
Unajua that's an AI image. Mbona abduct mtu? We have freedom of speech kwa internet where wacha youth wafanye kitu. Ukiona tunaongea hivyo, we have a reason. Si wa abduct, wewe uliza kwa nini wanafanya hivyo. Find out a solution, not abducting them. The government should stop that.
While a section of leaders are calling for the arrest of those they claim are misusing social media platforms, several legislators have called for restraint from the security agencies and an end to the abductions. Led by Deputy Majority Leader Owen Baya, the leaders have condemned the abductions as a violation of the rights enshrined in the Constitution.
Nikiona watu wanakuwa abducted, I feel very bad. Because that's not the democracy we fought for. Nikiona vijana wanashikwa na hawajulikani wameenda wapi, mimi nasikia vibaya kwa sababu hiyo sio katiba ya Kenya. Kwa hiyo mimi nataka niwaambie wale ambao wamepewa mamlaka, DCI na National Police Service na wale wote wamepewa mamlaka, tafadhalini kama kuna watu ambao wanapanga kushika wananchi wengine na kuabduct, I will tell you here in Kilifi, you must stop. Kenyans must remain free and a democratic and constitutional state, this country.
Chapter 4 of the Constitution was dedicated, deliberately so by the drafters of our Constitution, on Bill of Rights. Now the Bill of Rights give you an opportunity to say whatever you want, at whatever time, as long as what you say and what you do does not infringe on the rights of others. President William Ruto, I beseech you as my brother, whom I have deliberately chosen to support, kindly put a stop to these abductions in our country.
Interestingly, despite clear evidence that social media users were abducted by masked men in broad daylight, a Lagos Songa MP, Sam Atande, argues that some of the cases are mere propaganda.
There's a lot of political machinations behind these abductions. And I was also, because I'm also intelligent, I was also trying to analyze some of the cases of abductions that have come out. And I've realized that some of them are just total propaganda. There may be a few cases, but a number of them are total propaganda. And we want to ask people, the enemies of government, to go slow. Yeah. Some of these stories about abductions are not real. Now, if there are a number that are accurate and are real, we want to urge them to resolve them. But we want to say that all the stories about abductions, most of them are not genuine. They are aimed at tarnishing the name of the government.
All eyes now turn to Monday, with the nation awaiting the response of the police and the DCI regarding the abductions following the declaration by the head of state. Indeed, very interesting sentiments by Sam Atandi, the MP for Alego Usonga. That particular story takes us to a fast breather. We'll be back in a moment.
Bila kuwa na tough mind, kuambia ni ngumu. Mpaka mtu akue kabisa na akili ile kabisa tough.